Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Advanced Warfare in Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the difference in fire rates between PlayStation 4 and Xbox One because guns are actually shooting at different speeds depending on what console you're on. The gameplay that you're seeing right now is my second game ever on a PlayStation 4. I decided to break it out just for this in-depth episode. You'll see me struggle a little bit. I'm still getting used to the PlayStation 4 scuff and the overall feel of it, but 1080p is better than 900p and it's a fine system. We're not really going to be trying to bash one system or the other today. We're just talking about technical differences. And one of these differences is differences in frame rates, which can cause your guns to shoot at different speeds. We've discussed this many times in many different in-depth episodes, but essentially guns in Call of Duty will fire at different RPMs based on your frame rate. The Call of Duty engine uses your frame rate as its base unit for everything, so when you alter the frame rate, especially when you do it significantly, you do some unusual things to the game physics, and basically a higher or lower frame rate can mean that your guns shoot faster or slower. If you want a more detailed explanation for this, I highly recommend you check out an older in-depth episode. I've talked about it so many times I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but I don't talk about the differences between consoles very much because I assumed that they're all running at 60 FPS. They're all advertised to run at 60 FPS, and I haven't seen too many big differences, so the fire rates should all be the same, right? Well, that's what I thought up until recently, but other commentators and some people across Reddit and the Dinkirsten forums have spoken up and said that some of my hand-tested rate of fire numbers aren't matching theirs, and when I looked into it, it's because they were on PlayStation 4 and I was on Xbox One, so I got Call of Duty for my PlayStation 4 and I decided to test to see if these guns are actually firing at different rates. I put all of my evidence at the very end of this video. It's a little bit boring to just kind of stare at, so if you want to see the proof, you can skip to the end, but I'm just going to talk about the results. For the KF5, the PlayStation 4 one actually fires a little bit faster at 759 RPM versus the Xbox's 735. Not the biggest difference, but you will notice it. The BAL 27 also gets a slight difference. The PlayStation 4 is 731, Xbox One is 703. Actually a little bit slow on Xbox One. I wasn't quite expecting that. Two rates of fire does not make a trend. You can actually see that depending on what numbers are set, it can actually be the other way around. The AK-12 fires slower on the PlayStation 4 than the Xbox One. The Xbox One fires at almost exactly 720 RPM, so that was really nice, but a little slower on the PS4. And because they're different, the episode I was talking about where the BAL and the AK fire at the same speed, if you're on the PlayStation 4, that's not actually true. There's a pretty significant difference between the fire rates of the two. The MP11 actually fires way faster on the Xbox One at 900 RPM versus the PlayStation 4's 865. That's one that you will definitely notice. I think that's the biggest difference that I got here today. And the SN6 also has a, noticeable difference between the two, PlayStation shooting a little bit faster than the Xbox One. So this indicates that there are definite frame rate differences between these two consoles. I unfortunately do not have the hardware or the software to test the exact frame rate on the consoles or the frame rate stability because they can change mid-shot depending on whatever you're doing. And this is not an episode where I'm trying to say PlayStation or Xbox is better, but rather they're different. The easy thing to do is probably just say, oh, PlayStation has a higher frame rate, whatever. Well, a higher frame rate can actually mean a lower rate of fire for your gun, or a less stable frame rate could actually mean a higher rate of fire for your gun, or vice versa. I don't know. Technically, you could actually have like a lower frame rate on the PlayStation 4 and your guns shoot a little bit faster, and you could have a higher one on the Xbox One, or it could be the other way around. I truly do not know. I just wanted to make a point that there is a difference, and I also wanted to let you know that the difference is minor. It's not the biggest of differences. It's not going to blow your mind. It's not like something huge is going on. It's really only a couple FPS. I would probably say plus or minus 4 or 5 FPS tops, no more than that. And that's actually a very generous estimation. It's really more likely to be about 3 FPS plus or minus, definitely not much more. Also, do keep in mind that higher rate of fire variants and rapid fire guns will be affected the most. Generally speaking, the faster the guns fire, the more they're affected by this crazy sort of rounding effect. That's why you get a bigger effect on the MP11. So something like the MP11 Squeaker will be affected a lot, or an AMR9 with rapid fire, or the light machine guns with rapid fire. You'll probably get very different results depending on whatever your console you're on. So if what you're watching in one of my videos isn't making much sense, and you're on a different console than me, or what you're seeing doesn't match up to what the guide online says, you might be experiencing some unusual frame rounding problems. Well guys, that's all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something useful. If you'd like to check it out, the previous episode, that was on SN6 the third, the next one's going to be on the ASM1 Magnitude, and as always, if you enjoyed, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out. Oh, you gotta stick around for the evidence. That too. Drifter out.